Hello, how are you today? I'm really glad that you found me and we're going to spend some time together today. My name is Suzy Sanders. I'm the founder of Alchemy Virtual Assistants and we're the only family-run virtual assistant franchise in the UK. Alongside my commitment and responsibilities to the amazing people at Alchemy, I'm also a business coach and mentor. And today I'm going to be talking you through the journey from executive assistant to virtual assistant and covering some of the things that you really need to know. Let's dive in. And I'd like to start with timing because it's something that comes up in conversations really commonly. Is it the right time to make the leap? I wholeheartedly believe there is no right time. It's about working with what you've got and getting things, time, resources, headspace, getting all of those things aligned. This session's not about me, it is about you. But I am going to share a few threads of my story for all important context. Because this part of my journey began when I was employed as an executive assistant within a global recruitment company. I had the privilege of supporting the head of HR. And when my son was born, I came to realise that this role wasn't my future. I wanted to work. I needed to work, but I needed to shift the way in which I was doing it. And I came to this realisation because I didn't adjust to motherhood very well at all. I suffered a very deep postnatal depression and anxiety, which is an awful combination. I was at rock bottom. And in that dark pit, I started to realise I could change my professional life to better serve me. I wanted to be getting a real sense of fulfillment from my work. I needed to know that I was making an impact. And I came across the concept of a virtual assistant when I was on maternity leave. And being at what I would describe rock bottom, I felt I had nothing to lose in exploring it. Along with timing, another common question I'm asked is a virtual assistant business right for me? Some of the common concerns, fears, worries I see in a lot of aspiring VAs should I say, surrounding their skills, both in a delivery sense, but also in the business sense of being able to understand everything that needs to happen and having a robust skill set to reinforce that and to keep is those skills, or are those skills transferable? And as I said, this session is not about me, but if you're considering taking the leap from employee to entrepreneur, you're right to ask this big question. Is it right for you? And it's not for me to answer. I don't know your dreams, your personal circumstances, your ambitions, your motivations. However, today I'd like to go a little bit deeper into 5 of the key elements that experience has shown me are crucial to success in starting and running and growing a virtual assistant business. So it's my intention that you'll take what you need from this session today, whether you're starting out as a virtual assistant already or you're still considering it. I trust you'll take what you need. And before we dive into those 5 elements, I would like to share with you Alchemy VA's purpose, because I firmly believe purpose is at the heart of any business, any brand, and any individual. And Alchemy VA's purpose is summed up in this one statement. At Alchemy VA, we are committed to grow together so that no one has to choose between their work and their family, whatever those things are to the individual. And this purpose serves all the people we connect through the brand, whether that be our franchise partners, our team of VAs, our clients, our suppliers, and everyone in between. I wholeheartedly believe that people and purpose come first and the rest follows. Now, with your permission, I would like to share a very personal moment of reflection with you. I've been preparing for this session and I was putting together a few images to demonstrate where my VA journey had taken me. And it did cause a great emotion in me because when I left employment, I was a broken shell of a woman. I was working within a very demanding, fast-paced environment. I had an immensely privileged position, a truly insightful seat in that organisation, which allowed me to gain so much knowledge, insight, skills, perspective on how a world-class business really ran. And as a side note, but not a side note, I wholeheartedly believe that business support professionals in any capacity are the true leaders and change makers in any organisation. Now, the emotion that kicked up in me when I was putting this slide together was because the woman that left employment just would not have believed that this was possible. I was bruised and I was battered. My confidence was low. My self-esteem didn't exist. My mental health was in tatters. And I'd just like to send some compassion and appreciation to that past version of me. Because if she hadn't have backed herself, I wouldn't be here talking to you today and having fun in the process. So over the years, I've written 2 books, I've launched a podcast, we've been recognised in many local, regional and national awards programmes. Definite highlight for me was the Great British Entrepreneur Awards when we were regional finalists 2 years running. Alongside this, I've been interviewed, written articles and delivered talks for the likes of the BBC, Huffington Post, Kittens, PA Life magazine. And I think one of my greatest achievements, or most memorable achievements, was that Alchemy VA was selected to deliver a first of its kind government funded project through our local university. We were able to empower local businesses in my home county with funded VA support. And to my knowledge, it's the first time in the UK that this has been provided. And a project of this scale naturally took a lot from us. And it was a true defining moment for me, and perhaps not in an obvious way, because we had notification that the contract had been awarded and that we were going ahead 3 days before I was due to be induced with my daughter. And this defining moment made me realise a lot. It was a true test whether what I had built worked. And it did. And it was a very bittersweet realisation, because I realised that my business had actually become to run more efficiently and better without me. And that's when I decided to formalise my coaching qualification through accredited training. And I just can't believe that that was possible. For the executive assistant that worried how to find clients, that worried whether her skills would be enough and needed, it's quite amazing. So thank you for sharing that reflection point with me. So what do you really need to know if you're considering starting out as a VA? There's 3 sections here. The good news is the first one we've already covered, what led me to you. In the second section, we're going to be focusing on starting a virtual assistant business. Is it for you? What are the real requirements? And then stepping forward, I'll share with you the pieces of advice and wisdom that I share with anyone that's considering joining the VA space. Now, I'll be honest, at this point, we are not going to go into the practical stuff today. And that's for one main reason. Over the years, I've had the privilege of working with hundreds and hundreds of businesses, and experience has demonstrated time and time again, mindset is at the heart of every success story. Your attitude and your approach to things, getting that lined up, the rest will follow. So let's dive into those 5 elements now. The first thing you really need to know about becoming a virtual assistant is just how important your support network is. It's got to be solid gold. Whoever you can count on, who's going to support you as you leap into the unknown. In time, you'll naturally need to prepare your professional network to grow too, in a really meaningful and genuine way. But the first step today, I'd invite you to consider Who's in your personal support network? This is the very foundation of your business. And that personal support network will influence so many things, but 4 key things: your overall well-being, your happiness, who's got your back, who can lift you up when it gets hard, because it will. It'll influence your personal fulfillment. It'll influence your ability and speed in finding clients, and it will shape how you continue to develop your virtual assistant business in the future. So if you are considering the leap into the unknown and to start out as a virtual assistant, you'd be wise to consider what your support network looks like across all of your life, not just your professional life. And the second element is passion. When I talk about passion, I mean having passion in your purpose, being so fired up about and emotionally connected to your VA business that you're gently relentless in delivering and achieving your goals to the best of your abilities. That passion will need to be there, and it will take constant nurturing, because there will always be someone who will want to dim your light when it starts to shine brighter. Your passion must be bigger and more controllable than your fears, and more stronger than the naysayers. And at this point, I'd like to share a very brief story which demonstrates the importance of passion and a few other things. Around the time that I had recruited my husband to join me within Alchemy VA to help us get to that next stage of growth, I had an opportunity to meet with a wonderful, wonderful chap who had been referred to me from my very first client. And I took Paul along. We were clear. Paul and I knew that his strengths lied not in the client facing and delivering, but in the back office elements to our brand. But he came along with me because he wanted to see and understand who we were serving and how. So we went along to this prospect meeting. We had countless cups of coffee. We had such a great connection and rapport, and at the time this individual hadn't heard of a virtual assistant and didn't know it was an option for him. He had a really fascinating business, and we spent hours just chatting over life and business and outlooks, and it was a really positive meeting. And at the end of the meeting he said, "I need your support. Please can you give me a quote and send me your terms? Let's get moving." So I was buzzing. I left that meeting. I did as I said I would. Nothing. No response. Now at this point it would be completely natural and very common to have dropped into self-doubt and let my fears take over. How did I get it so wrong? Did I read the situation terribly? Did I quote wrong? Did I not explain myself? Did I not do this? Did I not do that? Endless loops could have run. I followed up. Still nothing. More space for more fears. But I kept moving. I moved on. When I got no response to the following follow-ups, I kept going. And then over 2 years later, an email lands in my inbox. And I can't remember word for word, but that's not important. But it went something along the lines of, "I'm sorry, I'm embarrassed I never came back to you. You made me realise how much work I still had to do before I could be ready for a VA. I've done that. And here's a PowerPoint on how we're going to work together, if you'll still have me. PS, I follow you on social media. Congratulations, you're smashing it." Now, I could have easily given up. And this is just one client example. And that particular individual went on to be one of our most treasured and valued clients. We had a very strong relationship. But I could have given up. I could have let my fears take over, but my passion shone through, and I kept moving. I kept showing up. I kept posting and putting content and messages out there, and I kept meeting people and doing that process over and over again. And not once did that individual ever engage with any of my content. So you never know who's looking. And that's why it's really important to keep that passion moving you forward in a positive way. The third element could be a controversial one. Madness. You're not considering starting a new job. You're considering creating a new business. And that can feel like a wild state of chaotic activity, because on some days what you're trying to accomplish can feel like a little bit bonkers. Starting a virtual assistant business is a lot of work, practically and emotionally. And in the UK here, society and culture doesn't always advocate or encourage the ways of the entrepreneur. There'll be a lot of opinions, ideas, viewpoints, and people that might contradict your passions and purpose. As your virtual assistant business grows, evolves, the highs get higher, the lows get lower, and a healthy dash of compassionate and wild madness will keep you moving forward, or will help you move forward. And the next element, I touched on this earlier. Success as a virtual assistant, in my belief, comes down to the strength and the agility of your mindset. Holding the belief that success depends on time and effort, and that skills and intelligence can be improved with effort, persistence, patience. Understanding this and operating from this place will serve every assistant, whether they're virtual or not. And this growth mindset should be focused on and fostered. But not only that, you also have to have the courage and determination to be able to take the necessary action. Beliefs will get you so far, action will take you the rest. And now I'm saying that, I'm thinking perhaps courage should be the separate sixth element here, because it's absolutely imperative. But actually, I think courage is the strand that holds these 5 elements and everything else together. So the last of our elements, what do you need to know? Whilst I have the gift of experience and knowledge, each time I support a new Alchemy VA franchise partner to launch their business, I learn something new. And there are 2 main reasons for this. Business is deeply personal and everyone is unique. For our franchisees, we have a structured, tried and tested framework to follow. We top load all of our necessary training before the business is born. And our head office team take away a lot of the risk, hassle, frustration about laying the foundations for their business. And all of this can be a powerful springboard to the right person to get their business off the starting blocks swiftly, maximising their earning potential, and all with minimal stress. But how does this relate to resilience? Well, regardless of how you are building a virtual assistant business, self-employment isn't static. There are so many variables and fluctuations to consider: the health of the market, the hearts and minds of your client base, seasonal peaks and troughs, impact of what other clients and suppliers and the wider industry is doing, what's going on in the world, news, events. There's so many things. None of this is static. And that's why resilience is so important. The capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. If I reference the story I shared with you about that client, if I wasn't resilient, I wouldn't have kept going. I wouldn't have kept fueling my passion. If you're going to achieve your vision, you absolutely have to learn how to swiftly adapt and overcome many complex challenges. In business, change is the only constant, and resilience helps you successfully navigate change. So how are we doing at this point? Is this helpful to you? let me be completely frank. There is absolutely no right time to start a business. There will always be a million reasons why you can't or you shouldn't. I hear them from aspiring VAs all the time. The difference in the successful ones. They have or they're prepared to develop all of those elements that I've mentioned before. And before we say a fond farewell for now, there are 3 key pieces of wisdom that I would always share and encourage anyone who's joining the VA space to consider. Define what success means to you. It's so personal. Success is deeply subjective. So before you set out on any path, I'd ask you to consider what you want to achieve. What does success look like to you? What is your purpose? And what is the purpose of your future virtual assistant business? The second piece of advice is to do your homework. Research and explore all of your options. Get your finances and your numbers in order. Establish which possible avenue will lead you to the closest to your personal definition of success. Which is your most fun, efficient, sustainable and fulfilling avenue? And then once you've chosen your path, do something that not a lot of people do. Stick to it and be consistent. Draw on your resources, grow the 5 elements I've mentioned here today. Believe in yourself wholeheartedly. Show up every day. Take consistent action, whatever it can be. Remember that client story I shared earlier? If I hadn't have showed up for myself and continued to back myself every day, that client would have gone to someone else who did. And the way I see it, we always have 2 choices. We can give our dreams a shot, or we can live with the regret of not trying. Which is the greater risk to you? Thank you. I've been Suzy Sanders, and I've loved spending some time with you today. I trust it was helpful and you took what you needed from this. Please let me know what was most useful to you. And lastly, always remember, when people say that it can't be done, it's an expression of their limitations, not yours. Take care.